What's up, Chuck BZ? How you doing? It's almost 12 a.m. and are you in South Africa or San Antonio? I'm thinking South Africa. Gil, how you doing? Now I'm just kind of getting myself going here. I'm only just getting started on my caffeine, double green tea. So, hey, I'll just do some playing and we'll just get going. Nice. And Chuck, you're in Maryland? Nice. Chuck, yeah, no, that's a great question. I can actually talk about it right now since I'm about to get into a solo, just kind of setting the vibe, right? So in terms of, now everyone has an idea, right? Everyone has a vision on the type of tone, the kind of vibe they want to go in their solos. And for me, there are many different variables in terms of going for a good tone in a solo. And this is always going to be dependent on what kind of music you're playing, what the texture of a tune, what is going on with the other instruments and all that. You might have a solo where, everyone breaks down and, you have the spotlight and that gives you more freedom. I can turn up my mic actually. I'm gonna keep the music going because this is probably better, right? Yeah, I just need a little more gain. I changed my microphone out for the speaking because just kind of trying some other stuff. And also I might play some upright a little later, use this microphone for it. So, in terms of if a band breaks down and you're playing, right? Obviously you're gonna have some more room to do some things, right? But you might also be in a situation where you take a solo and everyone is playing at full volume, right? And you're probably more in a lead kind of role, like playing lead bass, and which is cool as well. I love that too. But I always want to make sure that in any of those situations that what I'm playing comes across on top, right? And so in terms of the tone, I like to utilize all options of pickups, pickup settings, in terms of being able to go between just different sounds, because they give you different tones, obviously. So if we're using just the bridge pickup, which is the most popular in this day and age for that, you know? That's the most popular one because that bridge pickup is gonna sing out pretty nicely. But you can also get the same thing with the neck pickup too. That's also a really cool sound as well. That gives you some other things that I really like to get into. When I think of tone, I think of different types of instruments or players that have influenced me. So when I use the neck pickup, I'm thinking of like something like a jazz guitar, right? So for me, like people like George Benson, Pat Metheny, Wes Montgomery, that kind of thing, right? When I'm thinking of the bridge pickup, I'm thinking of Jocko, thinking of Stanley Clarke. Exactly, Chuck. Stanley is a huge influence. He was probably my biggest influence on the bass, right? He's the reason why I started playing the bass guitar. And then both pickups, I think of people like John Patitucci. that's with pickups, right? Now, in terms of like tone, like EQ settings, I always like to use, mid-range to kind of give you like a solo boost, right? But you got to be careful though. If you put too, and you got to know how to really dial in the mid-range, and different amps and preamps and different instruments are going to react to mid-range a little differently. You want to make sure that you're not going to get a bong 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 kind of sound, right? That's the thing. And you also want to make sure that it's not going to be only getting like certain high frequencies and missing stuff down below, and vice versa, right? So it definitely pays to use your ears, and all, because mid-range is also going to affect the way you attack, with your picking as well. I feel when there's not enough of that kind of growl in there that you need when trying to cut through in a solo, and it's not necessarily treble, it's more on the mid-range side. Sometimes if you don't feel that kind of that push from the mids, it makes you dig in too much. That's the thing, and you can't execute your technique the way that you're trying to get it to be, especially if you're trying to play some more kind of fluid kind of passages, right? But at the same time, you don't want it to be so saturated in the mid, so you need to really find that balance point. There's so many variables that go into it. So I like to use mids, like on my bass, I have a 3-band EQ on this bass. So I'll use the mids, I'll bump it up when taking a solo, like a solo boost. And then when I'm gonna go back to just playing bass, then I'll reduce the mids a bit. So right now I have the mids actually flat. And then if I bring it up, then it brings in a little more saturation, but I want to be careful not to overdo it. And also, when you put in too much mids, you can also overdrive the preamp, right? So you can get some distortion as well. So that's the thing to be careful of. But I like to use the mids to like help me in terms of finding the right attack. In terms of, so what you're hearing right now, you're just hearing my bass with no effects. I do have a little bit of compression going on. The reason I've got some compression going on is I'm playing over the internet, and I don't want to like clip the signal or distort the signal so much, especially when layering bass and all that, playing chords and then improvising over it. It can be a lot, and it's just to tame the peaks a bit. Sometimes I will have my compressor set to have like a more slow release if I'm playing some more longer notes like lines and all that, to get a little more fluidity. But I use compression very sparingly. That's the thing. Sometimes you can overdo compression, and that can actually also affect the way that you attack on the instrument. That's the thing. And you're right, Boards of Series, nice to see you. Having fresh or dead strings will totally influence, exactly. So for the thing that I'm trying to go for, I definitely like to have strings more on the fresher side. If they're kind of dead, then I'm not really gonna achieve what I'm trying to get. You know, that's the thing. So I do like, but they can't be strings that are like super fresh. They need to have a little bit of play in them, at least like a day or two, right? And then from then on until they're dead, that's a really good, for me at least. It's different for other people, you know. Mr. Nick Granville, what's up, bro? How you doing? Good to see you, man. Now, in terms of, you know, some of you might have a tone control on your instrument. Maybe if you're playing like a passive bass, you know, something more lines like a more kind of Fender style instrument, or some of you might be playing active basses that also include a tone control. And I'm not talking about like a treble control on your EQ. I'm talking about like literally a tone control. This is what this bass has. This bass was modified to have a tone control that works in active and passive mode, and it seems like that's becoming a more common thing amongst a lot of basses, a lot of more modern active basses, is they're including this tone control, because it means that you can leave the EQ in certain places, and if you want to warm up the sound, you don't need to reduce the treble or anything. And treble on a lot of these 3-band EQ basses, a boosting cut anyway. That's the thing. So this allows you to kind of retain the warmth and take out like the string noise if you want to. If you want to darken it up all the way. Now you're probably going to hear the microphone sound, so I'll just do this. Now, if I open up the tone control, then you're going to hear some more string noise, a little more brightness. So you get the idea. Sometimes I like to be a little more on the darker side if I'm going to be, meaning not have so much brightness, if I'm going to be playing some more lyrical kind of stuff. But if I'm going to be playing stuff where I'm really going to just like go in, then I can open up the brightness. In other words, if I'm going to go for more of like maybe that Stanley Clarke kind of lead kind of thing, then I'll open up the brightness. But if I want to go something where I want to have this bass, the fretted bass emulate, you know, like a fretless, then I'll have it a little more darker and play in a more legato kind of style. do that. So I hope that's helpful in terms of like, you know, going for a solo tone, right, for improvising. But the key things are, you know, you want to have it to where you yourself, the player, you can hear everything that you're playing, all right, and that it sits nicely amongst the group, the band. If you're going to use effects, definitely do so. Just be careful with reverbs, not to oversaturate things, right? Especially if you're playing in a more dense kind of setting, might be best to not use reverb if you're like really going in, just because there might be too much happening. I love using envelope filters, you know, so this one here, which is my favorite one, the EBS. And what I love about it is that it also works when you roll the tone all the way off. And then obviously open it up. So those are like my few go-tos that I love to use when taking solos. But also there's also a time and place where you just use just absolutely clean as well. Just a nice kind of clean bass tone, and that does, you know, wonders as well. You don't have to use effects. So yeah. So Chuck, on the EBS, the settings, everything is just at 12 o'clock. That's really what it is. And that was the cool thing about this pedal. When I plugged it in, it was at 12 o'clock. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. I actually like that. And I've fiddled around with the knobs and all, but my favorite one is just literally just 12 o'clock on both the knobs. And I have the mode switch set to up. That's what I have it at. So it's up and everything is just 12 o'clock. And this is the thing, again, going back to mid-range, is that the mid-range on your instrument, if you've got it on your bass, affects the way that the filter will react. So if I use if I put the mids on my bass at 12 o'clock, it's definitely not going to open up as much. You have to kind of dig in a little more to kind of get it to do so. And if I turn the treble, the tone all the way off, so it's definitely gonna, but if I open up the tone, then exactly it'll catch the filter, and you can kind of open it up with the amount of notes that you play, but put more mids into it, and then it'll catch the filter and open it up a little more. It'll be easier to open up. all the way up. And it's really cool because then it becomes like really touch sensitive to where you don't, if you have the mids all the way up, then you don't have to do much, you know. So you can use that's how I use my envelope filter, at least this one, with the EBS one, is that I'm able to control how it functions from my bass. And that's what I really love about it, and I think that's why it's my favorite one. So yeah. Folks, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. We've just been talking about you know, some tips for getting good solo tone, different kind of ways you can figure out, you know, what works for you, but also some ways to ensure that you can, when you do take a solo, that you actually will be heard, other than just turning up the volume. But what you can do with using the pickup settings, EQ, tone, things like that. And yes, Gil, I'm definitely talking about a passive tone control. That's essentially what it's called, even though it works in active mode. And the new Ibanez mode basses, they have a tone control that works in both active and passive. A lot of modern basses are starting to have this, you know, and that's a really cool thing, because I do feel it's an important. It is an important, you know, piece to have in terms of like tone sculpting. That's why on most of my basses, the active basses, I had it modified to do so. That's the thing. Shalev, how you doing? Is there any chance you can do some metal style or rock style playing on the MDM 1605? You haven't done it in your past streams. I'd love to hear that. Ben, you know, I would love to, but I'm not a metal player. That's the thing. So I wouldn't be doing it justice trying to fake my way through something that I'm actually not great at. So I'm obviously more in the jazz, fusion, R&B, more contemporary kind of stuff. But in terms of like more aggressive, you know, playing where you have to get that kind of tone or that kind of playing, that's just not up my alley. So I apologize. Although, you know, I do, you know, love listening to metal and rock, but it's just not what I do. And in terms of the tone control, it's not just the highs only. It will also get into the high mid range as well. So I mean, yes, you're right. It's definitely on the higher end of the things, but it's definitely, as Board of Series is saying right here, it's definitely going to be more of a filter. As opposed to a treble EQ knob. Treble, that's just gonna boost and cut at one certain frequency. So I can show you. I'll just stop this for a second. So right here, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have my tone control all the way open, and I gotta turn off my envelope. Oh, and I accidentally pushed the volume pedal. Alright, so this is my EQ flat, my tone control all the way open. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do this, just so you don't hear the string noise coming through the microphone. I'm going to turn down my microphone. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to boost the highs all the way up. All the way up. Alright. Alright, so that sounds like glass breaking, but that literally just boosted the highs. Now I'm going to put the highs all the way down on here. So with the treble all the way down, sure, did it reduce the volume of the treble? Absolutely, but it didn't mellow out. There's still the zing. There's still that treble in there. And if you're trying to go for a completely dark sound, that is not enough by any means. So now I'm going to put my treble back to halfway. All right. Now I've got the passive tone control all the way open. All right. And now I'm going to turn the tone control all the way off. Darken it completely. You hear the difference? That's the difference between treble and using a tone knob. All right, the tone knob just mellows out. It's literally, it's literally just a filter. All right, and so it's not just focusing just on the high end. All right, it's doing the whole, like, it's not just the treble. It's going to filter through a good, spectrum of anything that is. And the cool thing about it is that it retains the warmth, right? So if you want to, and that makes your bass even more versatile. If you want to get that like 60s vintage tone on your active bass, so that's the thing, is that this is the reason why I've had passive tone controls added into my active basses so that I could do this. It just opens up the instrument to even more possibilities, usable possibilities. And as a live and session player, that's something that has been always important to me to be able to do, especially on, you're playing on the same gig and you might be going from having to get a more Marcus Miller kind of sound on a tune, right? And then having to go to getting a Jameson tone, or having to go to a Jaco tone. That's the thing. And having a passive tone control allows you to be able to access that. So that's a really cool thing. And a really good luthier will know how to add a tone control to any active circuit on any active bass. That's been my experience. Like, it hasn't been a problem at all. They just have to find, where would, literally where would be a good place to put it, because obviously they'll have to drill a hole to put the potentiometer and all that, or you could get a do a stack knob kind of thing if you wanted to. Things like that. But just know that you can do that, you know. As Shalev, I think and I'm not just saying this, all right. I think the MDM 1605 is an absolute worthy contender if you're looking to replace your MTD Saratoga Deluxe. I mean, look, MTDs are incredible. They really are. They are definitely, Mike Tobias is one of the great geniuses out there in the world of, especially, custom boutique basses, and has mentored and taught a lot of great, bass instrument makers, and has also set a very high standard, right? But I'll just tell you, the MDM basses, and I'm not talking about MDF, that's MDF particle board. MDM basses are incredible. They are definitely, I would say since the groove line bass, and this is my opinion, okay? Since the Ibanez groove line bass, the MDM basses are definitely the best Ibanez bass line right now. They really are. It's incredible. It's almost, in a way, they've designed it as like a Swiss Army knife. The fact that you can get it from 4 or 5, 6 strings, it's 24 frets. You have this amazing, versatile mid-frequency section to where you can dial that in however you want. You got a tone control in there. You got 3-band EQ. It's incredible. And they've got it in different wood combinations. It's beautiful. It really is. So, but this is the other thing too. If you have a number one instrument and it works for you, and you are happy with it, and it does everything you need it to do, then, like they say, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. All right? That's the thing. So Shalev, if your MTD is your number one and it does everything you need it to do, that's your bass. Like just stick with that. Diablo, how you doing? Yes, I do set up my own basses. I do basic setups, and I think any bassist should know how to do this. All right, and it's really not complicated. For years, like when I was younger, I was definitely afraid to do this kind of thing, and because someone told me that, oh yeah, if you like just do one wrong turn with your truss rod, then you could just split the neck or something, or like that kind of thing, and which is completely untrue unless you really just keep turning, over tightening, but you'll most likely just snap the truss rod, then actually break the neck. But this is really important, if you want to do setups on your own instruments, it's important to know how to, yes, adjust the truss rod, how to adjust the height of the pickups, intonate the instrument, also adjust the height of the bridge saddles. If you have a bolt-on bass, knowing how to take that off properly, and if you need to put like a shim to get like the right neck angle, things like that. If you have a bridge that allows you to adjust the string spacing, that's really important as well. Because and these are things that you can do to help you personalize your instrument to your playing. All right, there's always going to be, all right, these are the figures that you have to have, the correct pickup height and the correct. It's like, okay, sure, whatever. But everyone the way that they play is different, and they might, need to have the radius of the strings a certain way, meaning that if, obviously the fretboard has a little curvature in it. Some are just absolutely flat, but some have a curvature, and there's the whole thing of like, okay, the strings need to exactly match that. I can see the argument to that, but actually, for me, I don't follow the radius of the curve of the fingerboard. I actually like my low B string to be a little higher than all the other strings because of the way that I play, and the way that my hand moves. I like to have it so that the B string is a little higher to where I don't have to go down. It's just little things like this, but I also want to ensure that I get a good amount of vibration on the B string too. So I definitely have things set up to how I play, to the feel of how it needs to feel, but also you want to make sure that you're not going to get any excessive buzzes or anything like that, or you're going to have where some notes don't play, that kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you learn how to set up your instrument so that you can adjust it, and whenever you need to, especially if you travel a lot, you go into different climates, the basses are going to obviously react to that. So you want to make sure you know how to adjust these kinds of things. For any major work like getting the frets done and all that, I'll take that to a professional. I don't know how to do any of that. Anything to do with the electronics, again, I'll have a professional do that. Any major work like that, but in terms of like adjusting the instrument, those are things I can do myself. So yeah. Let me catch up on the chat here. If you're just joining on, welcome. We're just nerding out about bass playing here, anything to do with basses, which is what this is all about. So if you've got any questions, throw it down in the chat. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe here to my YouTube channel. As well as down in the description box, you'll see links to my bass resources. So make sure you go and check that out. Whatever I can do to help you with your bass journey. This is what I do here at Bass with Benjamin. So make sure you have a look down below. Let me catch up on the chat here. So Shalev was saying the MTD is good, but the SR necks are just more comfortable. That's why I thought of it. Someone said the MDM neck is similar to the SR. I'd say the MD, the SRs are very small, very narrow necks. All right. From what I understand, an SR 5-string and 6-string bass is 16.5 millimeters. So that's pretty narrow. That's too narrow for me. The MDM, that is 18 millimeters, so it's more standard. The 4-string is going to be 19 millimeters. So it's definitely, it's more traditional specs. But the neck, it's not very chunky on the back. It's actually, it's pretty slim. It's like it's like a jazz bass, essentially. I'd say maybe just a little slimmer at the back. So that's the thing. It's not as small as the sound gears. And I do have a sound gear. My dad is, he's using it right now. It's a sound gear SR 400 that I've had since I was like 9 years old, and that's a very slim neck. It's an early 90s sound gear. It's like the first generation of those ones, and it's a great playing bass. When I play it, it feels like I'm playing a ukulele, But my dad loves it. He definitely loves something a little more kind of slim in that kind of sense. I think because I've been playing 6-string for a long time, that I'm just used to this kind of feel, you know. So that's just what it is. So yeah. Chug is saying, how long have you been playing Ibanez? So I've been playing Ibanez basses for, well, I got that sound gear, you know, when I was 9 years old. I mean, I've been playing Ibanez basses for a little over 25 years. I've been endorsed with Ibanez for 16 years. And yeah, it's just one of those things of like, yeah, time flies. It really does. When I first signed with Ibanez as an artist, the first bass I got was this red Groove Gear. Sorry, not Groove Gear, Groove Line. I do use a Groove Gear, the capsule case, which is really good. But the Groove Line here, the 5-string, that was when they first released the Groove Line bass, and I was one of the first artists to start using it. And it's absolutely incredible. Definitely a little ahead of its time. The Groove Lines didn't do very well. They only lasted a few years. Obviously, this is a 6-string Groove Line. This has been my main go-to bass for the past 12 years. I've used it on everything, and it's been all over the world, and it's just, you know, like just talking about, you know, your number one instrument right now. This has been my number one instrument. I do have some other beautiful instruments that are just incredible, that I absolutely love. But, you know, me and this bass, we have a special connection. We've been through a lot together, you know. Lots of, you know, blood, sweat, and tears, you know, that kind of thing. I'm just going to plug in my camera here so the battery doesn't die. All right, we should be good now. Let's see. What is the perfect shape for the neck for you? That's a good question. Whoops. Sorry if I blew your ears out by hitting my mic. Yeah, you know, it's hard to tell. It's Gil, but it's really, I would say this, you know, this neck right here, is definitely something that I'm most comfortable with. What's interesting about the Groove Line is that it's different from typical Ibanez necks. It does have a little more chunkiness on the back. So it has a little more, it's almost in the kind of P bass land. But it's great. You know, I absolutely love it. This 4-string PJ bass, which is actually an Ibanez. I know it looks like a Fender, but that's an Ibanez, 1977 Ibanez Challenger, and that has an incredible neck. It's definitely P bass like, but it just has a really beautiful, well-playing neck on it. So I really love that, especially for a 4-string. That thing feels great. That's probably the best feeling 4-string that I have. And it's definitely 19 millimeters at least, so it's P bass kind of spacing. But yeah, I like something where it's not too slim on the back. That seems to, I need to have just a little bit more, kind of thickness. And it could be also being an upright bass player. That's just what I'm kind of just used to as well. So yeah, that's I can't tell you the shape. It's really like I got to pick up the instrument and be like, okay, yeah, or it's close, and I've definitely come across that. So yeah. I don't know, Shalev. I don't know if the pickups are parallel or series on the MDMs. That's a good question. And I haven't seen anything about that on the websites, on the Ibanez website. So I'm not too sure, to be honest. I really don't know. Diablo is asking, how close do you go before you stop doing intonation, or do you go for perfect? I definitely go for perfect. So I'll spend a good amount of time, like, just getting it where it needs to. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry if you're wearing headphones and I hit this. Just because, yeah, I play chords. I play a lot of chords, and they have to be in tune, right? So that's a no-brainer. So that's why it has to be perfect for me. I know some people will kind of get it in the ballpark, but yeah, for what I'm doing, no, it needs to be right. It needs to be right on. Thoughts on bass bass sixes? Yeah. I was like, what? Bass sixes. Look, I think they're interesting instruments. I've only kind of just played on one for maybe like 2 minutes, like in a music shop, just to be like, oh, this is what it is. To me, it just felt like a baritone guitar, and I know some people use it in that kind of thing too. But I think they're very interesting. I don't really have any. It's just another tool that people use to make music. So those would probably be my thoughts on it. I know I'm really generic and general, but I think it's cool that it was something that was originally invented so that a guitar player could play as well and go between playing bass and guitar and be familiar with in that sense. If you listen to Let It Be by the Beatles, John Lennon is actually playing a Fender Bass 6. And for that very purpose, a guitar player who could go and play that. And because Paul, he's playing piano. Obviously, George is playing guitar, Ringo on drums, but they would actually switch around sometimes the bass role. So there'll be a few times John would play bass, a few times that George would play bass as well, which is pretty cool. And I think there's even times where some of them, maybe like Paul would even play drums. There's that whole joke. Someone asked the guys in the Beatles, so is Ringo Starr like the best drummer in the world? And one of them said, he's not even the best drummer in the Beatles. I thought that's hilarious. But anyway, my first bass was a German Warwick my uncle gave me. Second one was an Ibanez BTB because of Steve DiGiorgio. Oh yeah, that's right. And he's got a signature fretless BTB, which I haven't checked out, but it looks really cool. So the thing I was kind of brought up on the chunkier necks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say the groove lines definitely had the necks closer to what like a Warwick feels like. It's kind of got the little more chunkiness to it. Definitely the 5-string for sure. It kind of reminds me of that. So yeah. For the P bass and the jazz feel the same to you. Sure, I get it. No, it's all good. Yeah, And you know, when Ibanez came out with the multi-scale bass, you know, I was playing on the 6-string one for a while, and you know, and it was a nice instrument. But yeah, for doing the chordal stuff, for certain voicings and to get my hands to be in a certain way, there were some shapes and voicings that were a little difficult to do. But and also I'm just not used to like that fan fret kind of thing. I definitely like the more kind of standard, you know, conventional thing, but I'm not against fan fret. I understand its purpose and for why, you know, someone like Sheldon Dingwall kind of, you know, came up with this kind of concept, and you know, the science behind it. At the end of the day, I've found that when you're in a band setting and you're blended in, those things not going to necessarily matter the most, but it'll matter to the player, you know, the way that the instrument feels, right? But for me, I've been totally fine with all of my instruments on a band setting, and you know, like they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know. I'm gonna play over some. I've got some gigs coming up, and there is a tune that I was gonna kind of just shed the changes to, and I might play some upright as well because I have some gigs coming up on upright, and I'm just kind of getting my, you know, just getting my upright chops, you know, back into shape, which has been a lot of fun as well. So just answer a few questions here, and I'll just do some more playing. But I really appreciate you all hanging out. This is really cool, and nice to see some new cats on here. You know, Shalev, I don't think I've seen you on here before. Maybe, you know, Diablo, I think I've seen you a few times. But anyway, whoever's here, welcome. I appreciate you hanging out. This is always a treat to be able to just nerd out about bass playing, you know, and this is the whole purpose of it, is to bring the bass community around the world together to hang, and really we can connect and share our passion on the thing that we love to do, you know, which is play bass. And so I'm glad that you could be here with me as well. So I appreciate you all. Yeah, Chalet was saying, I think transitioning from guitar to bass ain't that hard. As someone who did it myself, my school finals showed needed a bass player and had none, so I picked it up and learned it in a week. I mean, that's great. Yeah, you know, obviously there's going to be some similar characteristics. I do play guitar as well. Like, I can play some lead stuff. I'm not like amazing, but I can, you know, I can definitely do it more in the style of, you know, someone like, not that I can sound like him, and not that I'm trying to claim that I sound like him, but more on the aesthetic of like someone like David Gilmour kind of thing, you know, when I'm playing that. That's one of my first early influences of lead guitar, because I grew up on Pink Floyd. But I can play some good rhythm and all that. And guitar playing is fun. I definitely love doing it. And so, you know, it's so I can understand how you picked up the bass and was able to do it in a week. I've definitely heard that before from other guitar players who had to just suddenly like, oh, I had to like be the bass player of this band in like 2 days. I'm like, yo, there you go. Diablo was saying, I think multi-scale just changes fretting, muscle memory, not difficulty. Exactly. It really is, because when I would be playing stuff, I would be like a half step or even sharp or flat, and I'd be like, man, because I have certain reach that I'm trying to go for, especially on the higher strings, right? So that was the thing that definitely felt off to me, that was the thing. So yeah. Michael Anthony, how you doing? Nice to see you. And Gil wants to know the string height on my uprights. Yeah, I can definitely. I'll do that in a bit, Gil. I'm gonna play a little bit here, and then I'm gonna transition over to the upright, because I also want to try out something, and maybe you guys can actually help me out with this. So with the upright, in terms of like a mic placement, I actually want to try it out because I was reading about it late last night on a forum, so that this will actually be really cool. Let's see. Leads on guitar is still hard after 9 years. Hey, that's the thing. When I play a guitar, it just feels like, because it's so small, I just feel like I'm just playing. After playing this, it just feels like, again, playing like a twig or something. Bored the series, so lucky. I went to read guitar tabs to learn Matheny stuff, but the third interval killed. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't know. I don't know how many of you have seen that, saw that Stanley Jordan interview with Rick Beato. Incredible. Stanley is absolutely just absolutely ridiculous musician. I got to see him one time. I was playing in Lee Ritenour's band, and it was at a jazz festival, and he was playing before us. He just did a solo show. He played before us, doing his thing, and it was just like, wow. And then he went over and played piano, and was also an incredible pianist as well. So yeah, he's got some other things. But anyway, I didn't know Stanley tunes the whole guitar in fourths, so he doesn't do that third interval. It's incredible. I had no idea. So I'm just like, oh man, because he wants to retain the same shapes, when he's doing it. And when he plays stuff down here, and the way he does it, he wants to be able to retain the same thing. So to me, that makes sense. And obviously, as a bass player, right? I'm just like, of course, yeah. So it's really cool. The hardest part about learning bass was getting the thumping. Yeah, look, again, it's just it's in the technique, and you don't want to hit too hard. That's the thing, You don't need to. Your bass will, if you have a good bass, it's set up well, it'll react to just, I'm not doing this very hard. I'm not doing that hard at all. And that's the thing. You really don't need to. And especially like on a 6-string, which can be a little harder, if you got closer spacing, even 18 millimeters. The thing that I do to actually help stabilize, I use these two fingers right here to just kind of rest on the body, so that I can go. And even if I do have to lift my hand a bit, it definitely comes back and acts as like a little bit of a, like, I don't know, like a stance, like you're jumping up and down or something, So that's the cool thing about it. Michael Anthony say, I see the chat was talking about fan fret basses. I bought one and returned it after a month. I thought it was messing with my muscle memory with playing chords up high when I'd grab my standard fret. Look, it's not for everyone, but it's cool that you tried it out and you were like, hey, yeah, you know what? It's not my thing. So that's, I totally get it. Whereas I know people who absolutely love the fan fret thing. So that's the cool thing. There's something for everyone. There really is. There's instruments for everyone. There is strings for everyone. There's an amp rig, pedals and all that. That's what I love. Tools to just help you play your music. That's the whole point in this, right? I'm more into music theory than playing. Not good at neither. Well, look, I think whether you are, and look, I do know people who are great music theorists. They love the science behind it and the mathematics and the concepts and the theory of it, and that's what they're passionate about. And then they like to see it applied in playing, even if they're not really into doing the practical part themselves, which is totally fine. And I think that's a cool thing about music as well, is that, you get to choose how you want to do it, right? So if you're more into the music theory, great, because it's also a thing where, we need more people who are into that to help us understand how this all works as well. Like, we can hear the things, but like, how does it work? Let me just fix the cable is being a little weird on my camera. All right, that should be all right. I think I might have to change out a cable at some point, but Eliza, hey, how you doing? You own a short scale Ibanez fan fret. Playing higher notes is definitely a challenge. I get it. That's the fan fret. And Michael Anthony's gonna get his first 6-string this spring. Nice. What are you gonna get, Michael? Shalev is mostly getting the slap sound, hitting it with the right side of the thumb. Yeah, again, you don't need to like muscle it out. You don't need to do a lot of movement either. And a good way is to just practice like this. Just get the motion of it, the mechanics. You don't need to hit it hard. Just like let the weight of your hand, like gravity, kind of do its thing, right? That's the cool thing behind it. Michael Anthony's gonna get the 1606, the MDM. Nice. That's gonna be awesome. You're gonna love that, man. That's gonna be cool. All right. That's some changes in there. So that's a tune that I'm going to be playing next week on a gig, and I just wanted to shed the changes on it. It moves so much. That's the thing. And harmonically as well. But so I'm glad, this is kind of like a little practice for some gigs coming up, which is really cool. I'm going to switch to the upright in a minute. Because there is a thing that I mentioned I wanted to kind of try out with a microphone, see if it actually works, see if it could be usable in some sense. And hello, excellence in you. First time here, nice. Thanks for joining, and appreciate you being here. Thank you. For any of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. That way you can know anytime I go live or when I post stuff and all that. Also down below in the description box are my Bass with Benjamin resources. So courses, or if you want to take a one-off lesson with me, or even join my bass coaching and mentoring program. And this is one-on-one. We work on a weekly basis and you get feedback on your playing. You get constant guidance, and this is for anybody. All right, this is of any level. If you are starting off on the bass for the very first time, like just totally new, this will also be great for you. I have a few students who are doing exactly that. Or if you are a pro on the bass, if you are a pro and like working professional, this is also a program for you as well, to get guidance on your playing, and also maybe get the occasional pep talk when you might need it as well. Now, what is my camera doing? It's doing that thing where, yeah, I just had to take the cable out and just flip it around, and now it works, right? Good old USB, what is it? Lightning cable, I think I just need a new cable in general. Let's see. And you just move it just ever so slightly, and then it like doesn't charge properly. So yeah. But so yeah, that's the thing. Is that it's open for everyone, and the end goal doesn't have to be where you want to be a professional bass player. It could be where you just want to get to the point of where you can jam with your buddies. You want to just it could be just a goal, like, yeah, a goal in life was where I always said I wanted to learn how to play the bass guitar, but I never did. It's never too late to start. All right, I have a few students who are in their late 50s, even in their mid 60s as well. So that's the really cool thing about it, So yeah, but hey, it's open for everyone, and I encourage everyone to just get on the bass, and this is what I'm here to do, is to help you do that. All right. And so Michael Anthony is asking, what were some of the most expensive basses you've bought, and was it worth it? I've never touched a bass that cost more than $2,800. Well, look, I'll just say that yes, I haven't bought an instrument that has been super expensive. I have been gifted instruments that have been, yes, in the higher end of things. But I've played instruments that been under $1,000 that have been like, wow, this is really cool. This feels great. This sounds great. And I've also played instruments that have been super expensive, in the thousands, like almost $10,000, where I've been like, I've definitely come across that. But I will say that, typically when you get an instrument, and it's a higher price. It's for many reasons. There'll be something is because the high price is because of the name, right? But also the high price. Another reason a high price would be because of the craftsmanship. So obviously you're getting something that is handmade, custom, more boutique, has quality components and parts in it. Then of course you're gonna pay a decent price for that, and majority of the time you will, and the quality and the level and the playability of the instrument, the sound of it will reflect that. We'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, this makes sense. But to have a great instrument that gives you joy, lets you do your thing, that lets you, that gives you the ability to play the music that you want to play. You don't have to have an expensive instrument, right? I've seen cats on very cheap instruments, but just know that sometimes, you do get some instruments that are very cheap. They might not last very long. They might give out on you, or there's some that just don't sound great. But you don't need to have something that breaks the bank. Like the MDM basses that Ibanez just brought out, they don't break the bank. They really don't. For what they are and what they include, it is absolutely well-priced instrument. And that's the really cool thing about it. So, yeah. Chicken Dip. What's up, Chicken Dip? Michael said, Spectre was nice, but it had 24 frets and I couldn't reach the top 4. So that's the interesting thing about it. And, Michael, thank you so much for the donation. Man, appreciate you. I'm going to love that. Thank you so much. That's so generous of you. Thank you. I absolutely appreciate that. And feel free, anybody else, if you'd like to do the same thing, go ahead. Or you can buy me another caffeinated beverage at there's a Ko-fi link down below. You can do so. Let me drink this. It's nice and cold now. That's usually how it is. Well, let me catch up here. The Spectre was nice. So this is a thing I've found with, like some Spectre basses, and that's also been the case with some Warwick basses, is that they have a full 24 frets, but then the way that the bottom cutoff is, the bottom heel, it doesn't allow you to reach up there. And I'm like, well, what's the point then? It's like, especially if you're going to pay for this like expensive bass and it doesn't allow you to get up there, and like... Then like what's the point? Is it just for show? So that's something that has always kind of annoyed me about basses like that. I remember trying out a buddy's 6-string Spectre, and I was like, but I can't get up there. Like, you have to like go into this awkward thumb position, but it's just like, no. Whereas for me, this bass has the best upper heel. Because look here, I can play at the last fret and see there's still space right here. It's amazing. And so, to me, the groove line, they really figured it out. On the MDM bass, Elsa has a beautiful upper heel as well. It's really comfortable the way they've also just shaped it in the back as well. Just like it just sits so nicely. But yeah, that's that can be like a pet peeve for me, basses that have all these frets like go up high and you can't play them. I'm like, well, what was the point? Like that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, Eliza's saying, I'm not professional, I just do covers for fun, but whenever I hit that record button, I get super nervous. It gets in the way from playing relaxed. Any tips? Yeah, okay, so that's a great question, Eliza, and this happens to so many people. You are not alone in this, and this was like this for me when I was definitely younger when I didn't have as much recording experience, and also just depends on the project as well. I've even in like well into my professional career, there's been times where I've been a little nervous about certain things, maybe because of what I've had to play, where it's a little demanding. Sometimes I've even had the thing of where I have to play something very simple. Sometimes I've gotten nervous about that as well because I want to make sure that it is precise. The thing that and easier said than done is really to find this balance of not thinking, right? And the whole thing of like when you do play live, or what is it that makes you grounded? What makes you relaxed? In anything of when going into a recording session, there obviously you've probably heard people say that like, yeah, okay, everything is kind of exposed, and can be scrutinized. Sure, that's just how it is, right? But when you put everything together in the big picture, there might be some little imperfections that you do that actually don't matter. So the thing that I did, when going into a recording session is I want to make sure that I'm just I'm in a good headspace. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good, just feeling good. I'm not too overhyped, right? And I also like to, so especially if it's a recording studio, I like to make sure the space that I'm sitting in, whether I'm sitting in a booth or I'm sitting on the main floor and I have my own little section, I want to make sure that that is comfortable, the way that I've got my little control center. I want to make sure that I'm comfortable there, because if you're going to be recording there for like the whole day or whatever, or even just a few tracks, you want to make sure that everything is good, right? Your space is good. It's laid out, set up the way that it's supposed to. But like, the thing is that the moment that like, okay, let's do one, then there's this whole thing of like your brain starts going, oh, okay, all right, so this section, whatever. It's a whole thing of practicing being just being in the music and being out of your head, just playing the music. If you make a mistake, whatever, like modern recording techniques, you can always punch in a note or something, or something like that, or you can always just whatever do another take, right? The thing is to be as loose as possible about it. Sometimes you might want to just have a plan on what you are going to play. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you are going to be maybe recording a solo, there's nothing wrong with planning what kind of solo you're going to play. There's nothing wrong with that. Like a lot of people do that, especially if you have a specific direction and shape you want the solo to kind of go in. There's nothing wrong with that. I've seen that so many times. So if you have certain phrases or whatever, that you can even compose a solo that you're going to record. That's fine. I've seen cats where they've had something written out and they play it, and it's still great because it meant that it's still, even though like some might say, oh, but you're not improvising or whatever. Yeah, but so what? There are certain there's a time and place for it to do everything, and the thing that you just wrote that you played, it came from you. Right? There's also that. So there's nothing wrong with planning what you're going to do. Going as loose as possible and really just keep reminding yourself of like, okay, the joy, why I do this, And you can also practice recording as well. I like to, when I play along to tracks on here, on my live streams, or just practicing in general, I like to use a program that has a stem splitter to where you can isolate the bass. Just take out the bass only and play along, because it forces you to, keep up with the music and the other musicians, but it also gives you that feeling of what it's like to be in the recording session. You recording, you're hearing the music in your cans, or on your speakers, whatever you're doing, and you can pretend that you're in the recording session right there. And so if you record yourself to that, that's a really good way of practicing, like just recording to things, and then listening back and being like, okay, yeah, so that part there, I rushed it a little, so let me just focus on that one part, or this bit could be a little cleaner, but also look at hey man, that part was just absolutely in the pocket, that is just smoking. So these are the things you want to get into, get that experience and get that kind of mindset of when you're in the studio. And that's something that will be really valuable and helpful. You can practice recording, right? But just don't forget to breathe. Okay? Don't forget to breathe. And just, maybe you need to just kind of get off your instrument, just stretch, shake a little bit. Maybe you need to go outside, just kind of jog around a little, or whatever you need to do to kind of get yourself feeling good, where okay, let's go. Have plenty of water, got some snacks, things like that. I love the recording studio. I love going in and, spending a day or like even a week where we're recording a record. We've got our space, we're really focusing on the music, but also having a lot of fun as well. That's something that I've always had a great experience doing that. I've also been in some recording sessions that have also just been like an absolute nightmare as well. But it's just something that I enjoy to do. And I like recording at home too. So anyway, board of series. Imagine being a beginner. Look, please, if you're a beginner, you want to learn how to play the bass, I'd love to show you how to play the bass. Please. I love teaching beginners as well, especially if you're absolutely passionate about learning the instrument. I love seeing the discoveries and the that you make on the instruments. Even with my pro students as well, I love seeing their progress, and that's what I'm here to do, is to like keep track and guide you in your bass journey. That way you have someone to hold you accountable, and you always got someone to like give you some good feedback and give you that encouragement. That's something that I wish I had more of when I was younger, and this is why I do this, so yeah. Michael's out maybe old, but I can buy friends. Amazing. Excellent. I love my Ibanez MDM 1605. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Spectres and Warwicks are similar to build quality. Yeah. They definitely are up there for sure. The record button is a butthead. I know, it's like this whole thing of like, I gotta impress that red button. Well, no, you don't have to impress anyone. Just be you. That's the thing. Just be you. Don't play the things what you think people are wanting you to play. Just play what you know that you can do. So that's the thing. Cats, I'm gonna jump over to the upright bass, and because there is something I would love to try out. So give me a minute while I just rearrange some microphones and even plug something in, because I'm curious as to if this is even going to work, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to also adjust the camera a little bit. Say hello to my little friend. All right, so so this is Bertha. Headphone cable. Ah. All right, I'm gonna adjust this. Okay, so real quick. So this is what I got going on. I'm just going to turn up the gain right here so I don't have to bend down. So, and also make sure I don't put this hole in the ceiling. So, you see where this, I've got an orange towel in the tailpiece there. So wrapped in that towel is an SM58. All right. Now, I saw, I'm going to just borrow the XLR out of my Aguilar. So I read a few things late last night in a Reddit post, and some people have tried a microphone and even an SM57, 58 wrapped in the towel in the tailpiece, and it sounded incredible. Well, I'm going to try that out. I'm going to put that to the test. See if that is actual, if that's a thing. Because it could be something that I use on gigs. Because I have a pickup on this bass, but because this is an acoustic instrument, you want to get more of the acoustic sound and not the DI pickup sound. And because majority time that we practice on this instrument is acoustically. The moment that we plug it into an amp, that tone and sound and all that just gets thrown out the window. So let's plug in this SM57, 58. What am I doing here? And let's see if this is doable. I'm going to have to lie the bass down to do it. Okay, just cables everywhere. All right, let's have a look. All right, so that is plugged in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just, for this moment, I'm going to turn down my main microphone here, and I'm going to turn up the 58. What do you guys think? How do you think it sounds on your end? So, listening through my headphones, I have to have the gain up quite a bit. But, you know, it definitely had, you know, I mean, well, it definitely had, you know, it was kind of present in there. Not a lot of low end, which is not a bad thing, because if you're going to use it in a live setting, you might get, you don't want to get that low end rumble feedback. So it might be a thing where it could be blended with a bit of pickup, for the low end, and so you can have the top end kind of taken care of there. And so that could be something where the engineer can kind of get a good blend. But so Gil was asking, what is the height of my strings? So, good thing I have my tape measure. And let's have a look. So I definitely have it a little on the lower side right now. So I can tell you on the G, and because this is metric, so this is about half a centimeter, right? So half a centimeter, so that's about like what, 5 millimeters. And then on the E string side, is about 8 millimeters. That's definitely what I have it at right now. Oh, sorry. And it's all about getting good mic placement. So the strings that I just put on, and I'm just gonna get a track here. The strings that I put on the other day, for the longest time I've been using Ava Perazzis by Purastro, and I absolutely love them because they got a synthetic gut core. But they were just really old. They were like 12 years old. So they were really starting, definitely getting, they were pretty dull. But they still, and they were getting a little too stiff as well. That was the thing. Like multitasking right here. So I had some Spiracores by Tomastic that had been sitting in my closet. I'd probably used them like once, and at that time, this was years ago, I was just like, But it, I figured, you know what, let me give them another go. And it worked, and I enjoyed it, and I have two sets of Spiracores. I've got the medium ones and I've got the light ones. So I kind of tried some different combinations, And what I've come up with is that I'm using a medium one for the G and the rest are light. The light G was just too was just too it was too thin and it didn't have enough volume. So I needed to have something that was going to have a good amount. And so this seems to be pretty good, and I've really been enjoying playing it. I've got the mic pretty loud, so yeah, even back here, it's pushing a lot of air. I can go back further, even still. But I'm going to play along. It's just loading right now. I'm going to play along to a tune, and I'll get the levels better. So so I'm glad let's try this 57 mic again. The 58. I wonder what it would sound like with this main microphone wrapped in the towel in there. The only thing I'm not hearing that I would love to hear more of is maybe just a little more top end, but obviously that mic is going straight into my interface. So I'm sure on a live thing, this is something that obviously a live engineer could adjust. So that's something that could be worked on, Let's see here. I appreciate you guys being patient. I'm just getting this tune here. Had to remember where it was. But I'm going to use that app I was talking about, the stem splitter app. I use the one called Moises. So I'm going to use this one to take out the bass and play along. Play something that's a little more up-tempo. That way it's some good practice for me. These live streams also serve as just good practice for me for any gigs that I have coming up. And you guys get to see how I kind of just work on stuff. So I'm going to play a tune here that I actually had. There's a video of it here on YouTube. This is with a great drummer that I love playing with, especially in the band called Monkestra. But this one here is from his project called Tanktified, and this is a drummer named Terry Gully. Incredible drummer. And I'm going to play this Kenny Garrett tune that we used to play quite a lot called Jackie and the Beanstalk. It's almost finished uploading. Sometimes, when you get these tunes, sometimes it has to do its little processing to get it, and that varies from day to day of how just the program is wanting to do its thing. Curtis the Wordsman, how you doing? Pop quiz, what's your favorite Anthony Jackson line? Oh, it's a good one. You know, I would say the bass line on that he plays on Clouds by Shaka Khan. Beautiful. You know, like, woof, it just has amazing stuff going on there. So yeah. But you know, he just has so much, there's just so much gold that Anthony brought to us, right? There really is. Alright, has this done this thing? Okay, it has. Cool. Okay, you guys. Thank you for being patient. I'm going to play this Kenny Garrett tune. Called Jackie and the Beanstalk. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Greg Spiro, and you're watching Tiny Room. In our next video, we're bringing back Terrion Gully, aka Tank, for a very special rendition of Jackie and the Beanstalk by Kenny Garrett.
Oh man, we had so much fun playing that tune. Always a lot of fun. And we would, when we would play it live, I mean, we would tip it even faster than that too. That was the crazy thing about it. So I absolutely love that tune. I'm gonna finish off with one more tune here, and let's see, because this is a tune I'm definitely playing. This is a Chick Corea tune, a beautiful tune. I absolutely love this tune, one of my favorites. This one's Tones for Jones Bones. Such a beautiful tune. I'm going to play this. This version originally was actually from a Christian McBride record called Number 2 Express. Yeah, number 22 Express. Is that what it was? 22 Express. It's his second record that he did, and this was like probably like mid 90s or so. Very young, Christian McBride. He's one of my absolute favorite bassists. Absolute favorite. And he did this version with Chick himself on piano and Jack DeJohnette on drums. So, absolute all-star of a band. So, I just need to double check one thing when I play this. So obviously when the bass solo happens, I want to make sure that this is going to cut out the original bass solo. Sorry, Christian. And try and insert my kind of whatever. Okay, so I just have to make sure to cut it out there. We'll see what happens. This is the thing about using these stem splitter programs, is that they're not always going to be accurate. So you have to kind of play around with some of the different isolation things to get it to how you want it. But we do our best, right? It's really just a practice tool, and that's what I'm doing here. So anyway, here is Tones for Jones Bones. just absolutely love that tune, and I cannot wait to play it on some gigs coming up. One of my favorite, Tones for Jones Bones, and that is also from, I mean, obviously that's the great Chick Corea album called Tones for Jones Bones, which is just absolutely one of my favorite records. But it's just such a beautiful tune. Just really love it. I might have to just play one more kind of straight ahead tune, because I'm just, the bass is feeling really good. We just might need to do this one. Yeah, I think we just might need to do this one. Another Chick Corea tune. I absolutely love Chick. He was one of my favorite, most influential musicians that really helped shape, you know, my career. So I'm gonna play this tune. I'm sure some of you might recognize one. Do I ever stem out different takes of the same tune? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I do. Absolutely. I know, we'll see what happens trying to play this tune. especially at that tempo. It's just insane, just absolute insanity. And of course, you know, it's like that's a Chick Corea acoustic band, so Weckl and Patitucci, and you know, Patitucci, man, he could just shred on upright at those tempos as well. It's just absolutely insane. But folks, thank you so much. I've been on here for quite a while. I'm hungry now, so great tune. Loved all the parts that were not 251. Yeah, me too. But it's just like makes you go ah. But I hope you're doing whack a bass, binge airlines, B Forts. Oh man. So thank you so much, you cats. Michael Anthony, of course. Oh, I'm glad you're wearing earbuds. You know, so you were hearing two microphones. So I was, you know, this one that I've wedged in the tailpiece, and then the main one here. So it seemed to be a nice mix, and the bass felt comfortable too. The bass is actually feeling really good. So I'm really excited about some gigs coming up where I'm playing this. It's going to be great. Cats, thank you so much. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel. Also, down below in the description box are all my links to my Bass with Benjamin resources. So make sure you go check them out. I'd love to work with you on your bass journey, whatever I can do to help you with that. So check it out. Feel free to reach out to me through my website as well with any questions or anything like that. But wherever you are in the world, please take care. Be safe out there. Have fun playing music. Enjoy playing your bass, whatever you do best. Play it the way that you love to play it. All right, that is the most important part. That it makes you happy, it gives you joy. So yeah, and quick question, so Gail's asking, do you recommend any upright luthier? I mean, look, there's so many great upright bass luthiers around the world. It's just dependent on your location. Right now, I've really been impressed with what Upton Bass have been doing and have been doing for a long time. They're building some incredible instruments and doing a lot of really cool, innovative stuff and experiments and just developing great tools and resources for the bass. So I've really been impressed with what Gary Upton. You know, finding, you know, just ways of how this instrument works and different ways that they can make it easier. So I definitely, that would be a go-to. But always, you know, this is something to research in your location, wherever you are, and to ask professional bassists, you know, who do they take their upright bass to get worked on, or any maintenance, any repairs or anything. There are a lot of skilled luthiers who are not very known, who are just kind of word of mouth, you know, who just work out of their garages and all that, but do really good work. So the best thing to do is in your area, if there's any professional working upright bass players, the best thing to do is to ask them, you know, who do they take their basses to? All right. So yeah. But anyway, you guys, wherever you are, take care. All the best with everything. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. And I'll see you again soon. All right? Ah, too loud. Bye, cats.